I'm with John Jeckovich, World War II veteran from the Battle of the Bulge, and we're reading his book, Their Mother's Sons, which was written over 22 years ago. And we're on chapter 10, and it's titled Snow, Bunkers, and Panzers, and we're on page 293. The heavy snowfall had completely covered the outside of the lean-to and has also acted as a film of insulation. For the inside was fairly comfortable and cozy. Good night. Take care. The inside was comfortable and cozy. We were safe for observation, and I took comfort in that realization. I knew we had to keep moving, but in what direction was the paramount concern. Again, I wish I had a map and a compass. How come you didn't have a map and a compass?
We didn't have a map?
It says, I wish I had a map or a compass. It would help.
We probably lost them.
Oh, okay. It would help a great deal and get us to where we wanted it to be much faster. I thought of some of the field problems we had back in the States and how different they were in comparison to the reality we're facing now. Back there, they tried to keep us informed about the minutest detail, who was on the right and who was on the left, and what your objective was. Everything was factored in to make you a better soldier, or at least on paper. Now, I did not have the slightest idea what was going on, nor did I believe anyone else did. We had come into this conflict several weeks ago, and were split up in small units, and the first thing I knew, we were surrounded by German infantry and tanks on all sides. Our ammunition was low, as were...
What is that, garbage cans or what? That noise?
Thunder.
That thunder?
Thunder, yeah. Big thunderstorm going on. Our morale was low, and we had not eaten a full meal in weeks. It was bitter cold, and we were not dressed appropriately for this kind of weather, nor did we have the equipment to sustain living out in the open. I did not understand any of it. What made it all more frustrating me greatly was the fact it would not improve any. Once we got to our outfit.
Still recording.
Huh?
We're still recording.
Once we got to our outfit, Lape and the two amber barrels were stirring, and I whispered to keep it quiet, for we did not want to give our position away. I told them to find something to eat and get their equipment squared away, and we thought about pulling out as soon as it got dark. I asked about their feet, and they all gave out a small groan. I mentioned that they better change socks if they had not already, and in the meantime, they should sit there and massage their feet with their hands to increase the circulation. I didn't want to leave anyone behind because he could not walk. We rested a little while longer and enjoyed the warmth and coziness of our lean-to. It was dark now, and we headed into a southerly direction. The snow had stopped, but the wind had picked up, blowing light snow in all directions. At times I was blinded by it, and I trusted the luck to get me out of the woods. I remembered what a paratrooper sergeant had told me when we first got here. Getting lost in the forest is strictly a personal problem. No one is going to go looking for you.
Still recording. 25 minutes.
Huh?
We're still recording.
The moon was out, and I could see the clouds hurriedly passing by.
The internet's out.
So that doesn't yeah.
No, we're
Passing by, pushed by the northerly wind, I had wrapped my scarf around my face, and only my eyes were visible. Lape was having a tough time of it, but I kept pounding on him, saying that we could not stop for now, but we would freeze to death. The other two men, being more hardy, took it all in a stride. I admired their perseverance and their composure. Even though they never said much and were extremely difficult to get to know, although I attempted several times. They were always quiet and struck pretty much to themselves. Since they had saved my life a few days ago, for which I would be eternally grateful, I tried on different occasions to express my gratitude, but they always dismissed my overtures, and I finally gave up the effort. Nevertheless, I was grateful for what they did, and saddened me considerably when they were both killed some few weeks later back in our own company. We came upon a logging trail, and it appeared that there would be some vehicle traffic on it, for the tire indentations were visible in the snow. They were narrow tracks, obviously made by a Jeep or a German recon vehicle. I told Lape and the bearers to be wary of German listening posts, which stayed off the trail. Thinking it might be mined following its windy path just inside the woods. The wind had picked up considerably, which made it difficult to hear anything, and at times we lost sight of the trail. Suddenly, I shouted, "Halt!" and all we froze. "Password" was the next command, and I realized that we came upon an American bunker. I did not see it, nor did anyone else. I shouted back, "There were Americans coming from Wiltz." We were told to come forward with our arms raised. As we did, there was a movement to our front. A soldier darted out from nowhere with a Thompson trained on us. "What outfit are you guys from?" he asked in a Brooklyn accent. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was really a strong Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
Stopping short of us, still holding his Thompson at the ready. With my arm still raised, I answered the 75th, almost reluctantly, 7050 question. "Never heard of them. Let's see your dog tags," he persisted. We fumbled with a half-frozen your fingers were so frozen you couldn't get your dog tags, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With our half-frozen fingers to retrieve them. He examined them and seemed satisfied as he loaded his weapon. I was then that I could make a long bunker and saw what looked like an M1 sticking out of a slit close to the snow-covered ground. "This is the 28th outpost," he explained. "We're covering the village of Edelbruck and the 1st Army sector. It's been pretty quiet here in the last few days, but I understand they caught hell a little further up near Bastogne and St. Vith. St. Vith took it really hard.
Yeah.
St. Vith." I agreed with him, and I asked if he had anything to eat, since we have not eaten for a while. He said that he would get someone down from the village to take us to CP. He crawled back into his bunker, and I could hear him whistle in his SCR 356 walkie-talkie. In a few minutes, a Jeep came by, probably the same one that came down the trail that we spotted its tire marks. We jumped on for the ride to Edelbruck.
20.
We passed several more outposts and arrived at a stone cottage. We were ushered into a warm, cozy room. The warmth was intense after we had got used to the brutal cold outdoors.
She texts you back?
No. We were interrogated by a first lieutenant, then given something to eat, along with a steaming hot coffee. We were told to bed down in the next room and get some sleep, which we did gratefully. It was daylight when we were awakened by the sergeant and told to get our gear together. We were to travel by truck to where our division was encamped in the 1st Army sector near Grand Manil, some 40 miles northeast of here. We were giving breakfast of hot cakes and coffee, and about 600 hours were boarding a truck for the journey back to our division. There were other soldiers on the truck with us. They were to be dropped off at designated places en route. Luckily, the 6x6 was covered, and I hope that we will not have a repeat of our last episode riding on open trucks, as we were alone. As we were a lone truck. Where areas before we were in a convoy of 10 to 15 semis, something the Germans took great pains to destroy. Also, I did not relish in returning to my own division with all of us ramifications. We heard some small arms fire in the distance, and a few mortar shells still further away as we drove past Edelbruck. All in all, the trip was uneventful as we skirted Bastogne and St. Vith in a wide circle to the north. The only soldiers we encountered were our own and the British elements. Was there just as many British infantrymen out there as there was American infantrymen?
No, I don't think so, no. No.
There wasn't that many.
No.
I wonder why.
Well, the British were more concerned about the Far East, where they had a lot of people there.
By early afternoon had arrived our destination, and we were dropped off at Battalion CP. The lieutenant on duty was glad to see us, and he understood that we'd seen a bit of action in the southern sector. We smiled, and already I could sense the old feel coming back, to the detachment of unawareness by the command of what was going on. A jeep picked us up to take us to Company CP, and we arrived there and were greeted by total strangers. Sergeant Whalen had left several weeks ago, transferred to stateside to a PR position with the Defense Department. Sergeant Rupert, our platoon leader, had left earlier with a possible frozen foot. The lieutenant we talked to, who I've never seen before, was new to the company, just arriving as a replacement. So in essence, we started out back in the States with Captain Goodnight departing several weeks before we shipped out, and we continued along the same pattern in Belgium.
Good night left too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
I would accumulate in the exodus and departure of the remaining cadre of commissioned and non-commissioned officers. We were strictly on our own, a skeleton of a division, severed from its cadre force, left to the bureaucracy of the Army to determine our fate and even our lives. The lieutenant told us that the platoon was outpost several miles up the road at the juncture, and that would be a holding pattern. I mentioned that we did not have a crew weapon, and they were short about 8 men. He immediately discounted my remarks and said it did not present a problem. Replacements would be arriving in several days. As for the gun, he would see it to be where we're supplied. Welcome home, I thought. Suddenly our little escapade at Wiltz looked pretty good compared to what lay ahead of us. We reached the platoon CP, and again we were greeted by strangers. We acquired a mouthy tale. We had acquired a monthly tally for the platoon leader, retread, who had gotten himself a battlefield's commission through brown-nosing someone. I thought by looking at him, he must have been a mail clerk at one time.
A what?
He must have been a mail clerk at one time, sucking up to the officers to get the command position.
Huh.
He gave us some BS about how glad he was to see us, and that our past experience would be valuable to the platoon in the days ahead. I looked at the two animal bearers who had saved my life, and we smiled at one another. What we've gone through these past several weeks, and the camaraderie we had formed, only to come back to this nonsense and frippy, was too much to grasp. We operated as a team, looking out for one another, with only one goal in mind: to stay alive. With our return, all we had attained. With our return, all we attained was lost and never regained. He then said I would remain acting as squad leader until further notice, or until I was replaced. Big deal, I thought. Ship me home, or better yet, give me my discharge right here and now. I knew what I was thinking was foolish and unreal, but just the same, and how I felt about this entire outfit. He broke my chain of thought by asking me who our drivers were. When I told him it was Post, he quickly he gave a little smirky chuckle and said that he was waiting at the motor pool with our equipment. It was a treat to see Post again, and we got reacquainted. We went over the supplies in the trailer. There's still some of Fink's within the trailer. I was disheartened at the sight of them and said nothing. We acquired a used crew gun and suit and some ammo and some extra clothing, which I shared with the armor bearers. 7 boxes of C&K rations, and we packed at Haverford West. We also had some mail that had caught up to the outfit. Post had kept it for us, and we were grateful for him being so thoughtful. There were several letters addressed to Fink, which I took, but I did not know what to do with. There was 2 letters from Mother and Sally, and several letters from Annie, and 2 from Jean. It was like Christmas, and I was overjoyed to receive them. They were all dated and written in November, and just as we left Haverford West. I was glad to hear from all of them. I stuffed them into my pack and went back to the roadblock position with the gun. It was a defiled firing pin overlooking the road junction. I had the first squad on our right, and a short distance away the 3rd squad. Good night. And the 3rd squad was headed up by the acting squad leader. Kingstone had been killed several weeks ago when he stepped on a mine. Sergeant Garson of the 1st squad was evacuated with trench foot and probably would not be back. Oh yes, Smith from Evansville days was giving a Section 8 discharge shortly arriving after France. So Smith got Section 8.
Yeah.
Even though there was recently, like 20 years ago, a book written about him.
Yeah.
Really? So what does Section 8 mean?
What's Section 8?
Metal.
Yeah, nervous breakdown, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Memory or something. Memory, mental attitude.
Smith was probably back in Evansville, married with several kids by now. I did not envy him.
That's what I was worried about, get married that stupid woman. Smith. Yeah.
So that's what happened to him.
Huh?
That's what happened to him. He got a Section 8. Maybe he created a Section 8.
Huh?
Maybe he created the Section 8.
Yeah. The ladies acted in school before that, too.
Oh, yeah. The 4 of us dug the gun in and seemed strange to be concerned about the crew weapon. As we gathered the straw from the barn nearby and placed it in the bunker, We roofed it with heavy logs and dirt and covered good night. Everything with tree limbs. It would be comfortable for the time being. We set about digging another large bunker for the two of us as we were not into the gun replacement. We made it larger so we could stretch out in it, covered it with straw and logged it overhead. It was not too concerned about being overrun in this position as we are further south, and I looked at this assignment as a respite, a breather from things to come. I still miss being on our pink, she said.
Oh, okay.
The cooks in the mess hall had thought we had a full squad as they packed enough food for 10 to 12 people.
What's that?
The cooks made enough food for 10 to 12 people, but there's only like 4 or 5 of you. Nevertheless, we appreciated it and ate as much as we wanted. It felt good to stop ourselves until we could not eat another bite. Later, after getting relief from the gun emplacement, I crawled into the large bunker and threw a blanket over my head and turned on a flashlight to read the mail I received that afternoon. Would the mail be also called a V-mail that you received?
Say,
The mail you received, was that also called a V-mail?
V-mail?
The mail that you would send home, that was called a V-mail, correct?
Well, it was a regular letter, but they transported it down for getting more mail going overseas.
So
Cut the weight down.
was it also censored?
Yeah. It was
Would that be-
censored too, yeah.
Would that be considered a V-mail?
That was a V-mail, yeah. I wrote a regular letter, and when they transported it, they reduced it down to a V-mail so they get more mail in there to get it out. Because there's millions of tons of mail going out every
They
day.
must have a big squad to do that.
Yeah.
And how about you received it? You received it the same way, in a smaller form?
No, I received it in regular mail, regular form.
So they didn't
I didn't
censor,
get much. I didn't get much mail.
but the mail you did get, was it censored?
What?
The mail you did get, was it censored?
Oh yeah, my mail go to me?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't censored.
The
No,
only mail that was censored
it
was
was
the mail
censored
going
going
out.
out. That's all.
So, were they allowed to put anything, was your mother or Sally allowed to put like any gifts into the mail?
Well, what would my mother and Sally know about? They didn't have nothing military.
Piece of pepperoni or something. Where
Huh?
say, for example, they want to put a piece of pepperoni in there. Would it get to you?
No,
No. Okay.
no,
Just letters.
just letters. Yeah.
Okay.
You made millions of tons of letter goes through every day.
Just letters.
Lot of mail. Lot of mail.
So there must have been a big outfit that just didn't mail. Was it mostly ladies that did the mail?
It was the Army Post Office.
Was it made up of men or mostly ladies?
What?
Was it made up of men or mostly ladies?
Mostly GIs.
Okay. That wouldn't have been a bad job.
Huh?
You wouldn't see no combat if you're a male person in the World War II. You wouldn't see
Yeah,
any
but you didn't stay on that job long. The minute you stay a couple of weeks, they kick you out to put somebody else in.
Oh, they would kick you out real quick?
Yeah.
I see. So they'll utilize your services on the front line.
That woman almost fell.
Huh?
Oh, she almost fell.
Yeah, I see her slip.
Yeah. Lot of thunder.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
You gotta use the bathroom, John?
You have to use the bathroom right now? Now's a good opportunity.
He matches, but he doesn't have to right now.
What was bubbly?
He mashed his button.
He accidentally mashed his
What?
button.
Oh, you actually hit your button, I'm sorry. You wanna use the bathroom real quick and we'll wait?
What?
We only got 4 minutes left, so this
What?
will
What
be.
do you want?
Do you wanna use the restroom? Ask him, Jen. Do you have to use the restroom?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait right here. Go.
Huh?
Well,
We'll wait
I'm
right
gonna
here.
turn this off.